Hey guys, so today is a very exciting video. I came up with this idea a few weeks ago and I think it's pretty cool. So I am going to take you guys through how I plan my trips. So we went to Italy a few months back, so I'm basically just gonna take you through the steps and processes of how I did that, because obviously I can't plan a trip right now because of everything going on. Now I know with everything going on you probably won't be able to use this information for a while, but it's still fun to plan trips in the future, and what better time than now to kind of figure out how to plan your trips, how to do anything really. So I'm going to let this video out. I'm going to take you along basically exactly how I did it, so there'll be a bunch of different tips, pointers, exactly how I plan my trips, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So step one is obviously to figure out your destination, whether you want to go to somewhere tropical, whether you want to go somewhere really far, really close. So for this trip we chose Italy, the reason being that while I had been to Italy before, my sister had never been to Italy and my dad hadn't been back since he was 16, and so it was the three of us going on the trip and I just really wanted to kind of experience that with them. We chose to do the trip in January, a few reasons, one being the fact that my dad does seasonal work, so January is pretty much the only month that he can really take 10 to 12 days off of work. I prefer doing Europe in the winter months because despite the weather being a little bit cooler, there's not lineups and you don't really want to spend 50% of your trip standing in lines that are hours long, and it's boiling hot outside, especially in Italy. It gets so hot in some of the parts of Italy that it's not even worth it. So if you don't mind packing a light jacket, I definitely suggest to do Italy in a winter months or Europe in the winter months. The next step is to decide how many days you want to be away for. So planning this part of your trip kind of depends on each person, because some people do have a limited amount of time that they can be away for, in which case they would base their trip off of that. For us, we knew we could only afford 9 nights, which would come out to approximately 11 to 12 days with like flying and everything like that. We then compiled a list of all of the places that we wanted to visit, from most important to least important for us. If it doesn't matter how many days you're going to be away and you're just basing your trip off of seeing as much of Italy as possible, then you're gonna do the opposite here. You're gonna make a list of everything that you want to do, and then you're gonna decide how many days you want to be away, because in this case, the days you're gonna be away varies on how much you do want to see. For us, Florence and Rome were must-sees in Italy, and we decided that we wanted to spend approximately 3 nights in each place, or in each of those cities, which gave us approximately 2 full days in each of the cities, and then however much time we had the day before or the day after we arrived. This now accounts for 6 of the 9 nights that we have to spend in Italy. Our other options were Como, Parma, Bologna, Cinque Terre, and the Amalfi Coast. Those were all places that we really did want to visit, but we needed to kind of narrow it down because it's always more beneficial to see less in the little amount of time than more, because you really want to be able to enjoy everything. We're flying into Paris because Air Canada does not fly into Italy destinations off-season. We decided that after looking through everything that our best bet was to fly into Milan, because Milan is kind of the most northern city to fly into in Italy, and we wanted to make our way north to south, which is always a good idea to start north if you're planning on doing an entire country, because even if a flight to Rome would have been cheaper, it wouldn't have been worth it because you would have been wasting so much time going back and forth from these cities, where what we did was literally start in Milan and go south. So we were never wasting any time traveling unnecessarily back and forth. And when you don't have as much time as you'd like in a country, then this is always your best bet. We didn't really care to see Milan in the limited amount of time that we have, even though I would love to go to Milan, especially during Fashion Week, something like that. We kind of decided altogether that it wasn't the top of our list out of all the places we wanted to visit. However, we did realize that 2 of our destinations on our list, which were Como and Cinque Terre, were pretty close to Milan as far as driving or a train, whatever we decided to take. So we decided that we were going to choose one of those destinations to go to, because they also were pretty similar in like looks. They were both waterfront towns with that beautiful house look in Italy. So we decided we were going to choose between the 2 of them, and after deciding together, we just chose to do Como. Como is a relatively small town and is more of a vacation destination than a sightseeing destination, with less attractions and more of like, it's like a bougie vacation area. So we decided we were only going to stay there for one night. So that now accounts for 7 of the 9 nights that we are going to be in Italy. After doing our research for flights, which I will get into in our next step, we realized that we were arriving in Paris at a little bit of a later time. I think we arrived at around between 10 and noon. And so because of that, all of the flights to Milan were leaving earlier in the morning. So we decided to stay one night in Paris and that we were leaving early in the morning for Milan the next morning out of Paris. And then on top of that, unfortunately flying to Europe from Toronto at least, you lose time. So we lose a night right there just flying overnight. So that officially, between staying in Paris and flying to Paris, that accounts for all 9 of our nights away. We then made the decision to leave the southern part of Italy out of our trip just because it was a little bit further away and it was the type of thing that we kind of really wanted to enjoy and not be rushing to complete. Plus it was also something that while it might be busier in the summer, it doesn't have as many tourist attractions, therefore we can kind of just enjoy the nice weather. So we decided we would come back and do a southern Italy trip another time. We still had Bologna on our list because we did have a family member who lived there. So we made the decision to go to Bologna because it was in between Como and Florence, and we were going from Como to Florence, so we thought we may as well stop by, visit, and then move on. So that officially completes our list of destinations and how many days we want to spend in each place. Our next step is transportation. I always kind of make a list of how I want to get around before I book anything. I don't want to jump into things because then you might find something that's cheaper or easier later and it doesn't line up with what you originally did. So we went through and we decided which place was going to be train, car, and then we booked everything. So we already knew we were going to be flying into Paris and then taking a flight from Paris to Milan. We would then go to Como, which after doing our research was only a 45-minute drive from Milan. So our best bet was to get a car right out of the Milan airport and head up to Como. Since we already had the car, we decided we may as well keep it because after doing some research, Florence and Bologna were approximately a 3 to 4 hour drive combined, and why not experience the scenery of Italy? So we decided we would drive from Como to Bologna and then Bologna to Florence and drop the car off in Florence. And trust me, we did experience some scenery in Italy. The map took us through the mountains of Italy during sunset, and while me and my sister thought it was beautiful, my dad gets a little bit freaked out by things like this. So he thought we were gonna fall off the cliff. He thought that the sun was gonna go down, the car was gonna break down, someone was gonna kidnap us. I don't know, he was freaking out. He wouldn't let us stop to look at any of the viewpoints or take any pictures. But now that it's all over, we are all happy that we got to experience that beautiful drive. And it's definitely worth it. We'll probably do it again. The next transportation we would need is from Florence to Rome. So from Florence to Rome, because I have already been to Italy, I knew that our best option for this was to take the high-speed train from Florence to Rome, because while flying might be an option, airports are always outside of the city, which means you have to either figure out how to take a train in or you have to get a taxi or an Uber. So with the high-speed train, you literally go right from Florence City Center to Rome City Center, which is perfect, and I think it was only a 15-minute drive to our Airbnb after that. After this, we would need to figure out how to get back to Paris from Rome. First, we considered driving all the way to Paris because it obviously would be a beautiful view, but it was way too long. We also decided to look into trains as well, but it was 2 different trains, and I think it came out to like an 18-hour train ride, so that was definitely a big no-no, especially after such a long week. And then in conclusion, we finally decided that our best option was to fly from Rome to Paris and then just take a flight straight home. So concluding this step, bear with me here, stay with me. We are taking a flight from Toronto to Paris and then a flight from Paris to Milan, and then a car from Milan to Como, and then from Como we're going to drive down to Bologna, then to Florence. Then from Florence we're going to take a train to Rome, and then Rome we're flying back to Paris, and we're flying home to Toronto. Now, it sounds crazy, but honestly, until I made this list of how we've traveled everywhere, it honestly didn't feel that it didn't feel like a big deal at all. Everything went really smoothly, especially planning everything ahead of time. So this now brings us into our next step, which is booking everything. So this is where it gets exciting because you're actually officially making the first step into this trip. Hey guys, so this is me from the future of this video, I guess you could say. So I was editing the video and it was starting to get really long, but all of the things that I was saying were kind of things that were important enough not to remove from the video. So I decided that I was going to upload this video into 2 shorter parts rather than one big long video. So I'm going to upload this part right now, and then the second video will be uploaded the day after that I upload this video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this part of the video, and the next part is going to be super exciting because that is when I start to book everything. You can see the places that I stayed and basically what we did, which is definitely the most exciting part of this whole entire process. So I hope you guys will click the link in the bio for the second part of this video, or it will show up right after I finish talking. So I will see you guys in the next part.